Today I'm going to be talking about 20 of the weirdest or strangest things in Japan that I've eaten and what I think about them. So awesome. This video is brought to you by all my Patreon supporters. Go Team Awesome! As you know, Japan is famous for sushi, sashimi, and tempura. Which might sound weird to some because a lot of people still don't eat raw fish, but it's become quite popular around the world, so it's not that shocking. But once you get to Japan and you check out all the different restaurants and different food choices that are available in this country, you'll realize that sashimi and sushi are not weird at all. There's a lot more foods that are stranger looking and tasting than raw fish. So before I get into this list, I'd just like to tell you about 2 ways you can help promote and support my channel. You can be a part of NordVPN. You can get the VPN service, and if you use my code, you get 70% off and 1 free month for a 3-year plan, and that helps my channel out as well. Also, you can be a Patreon. For as little as $1 a month, you can get extra videos. Anyway, let's get on with the list. Anyone that's been to Japan or knows Japanese people will have heard of natto, which is soy beans that are fermented. All Japanese people grew up with natto, and it's part of a Japanese breakfast. It's gooey, it's sticky, it's slimy, it's smelly, and it's just a weird food that's touted as one of the healthiest foods, I think, in the world. The soybeans are steamed and then fermented and then refrigerated for about a week. And it's really cheap. You can usually buy a 3-pack of natto for less than $1. Most people add soy sauce and Japanese mustard in the mixture, and then they just mix it really quickly until it becomes all gooey and frothy. I actually made a video of different ways of trying natto because I just couldn't stand the taste. So I tried to mix it with a whole bunch of things like kimchi and pudding and stuff like that. If you want to check out that video, you can check out the card above. For me, I have to say, more than the smell, it's the texture that I can't deal with. I feel like I puked in my own mouth and I'm re-enjoying my dinner. You've probably heard the saying, I'm so hungry I could eat a horse. Well, in Japan, they actually do. Like fish sashimi, horse sashimi or basashi is available in many izakayas, and the grilled version is also available in yakiniku restaurants. It looks very similar to raw cuts of beef, so I was a little bit hesitant to eat it raw, but it was actually really good. And it's not very chewy, it's actually very tender. Also, apparently if you eat it, it's supposed to give you horse-like strength in the bedroom, if you know what I mean. Bitter melon or goya is like a zucchini-shaped vegetable from Okinawa. It's famous for being very bitter, and it's part of a Japanese dish called goya champuru. So when I went to Okinawa with my friend last year, I had a chance to try it. It was really good. It was a mixture of goya, egg, tofu, soy sauce, and vegetables all stir-fried together. The goya had a little bit of a bitter aftertaste, but overall the dish was really good. So goya is apparently a superfood like natto. It's supposed to be one of the healthiest foods in the world. It would be unheard of for people in North America to eat raw chicken, or even restaurants to serve it on purpose. Lawsuits and health risks make it hard to believe that in Japan it's actually served and enjoyed. Although in other countries eating raw foods seems to be dangerous, in Japan it's kind of like the culinary art of Japan, with eating a whole bunch of raw things. As I mentioned, the horse, and of course fish and chicken as well. I had a chance to try it at my local izakaya, and it was quite good. It wasn't chewy or rubbery like I thought it was gonna be. It actually tasted really similar to tuna. I guess that's why they call tuna sea chicken. And although I liked it, I've only had it once. I don't want to push my luck, just in case. So these sausage-shaped things are actually a sack of cod roe that have been salted, and in case of mentaiko, there's some spices added as well. The outer sack is a very thin membrane, so it keeps all the eggs together inside, and it's a very salty dish. It's either eaten as a side dish or it's put inside rice to make a rice ball. Mentaiko is also getting popular as a sauce. People put mentaiko sauce on top of their pasta. And because it has like a nice spicy, salty taste, it also goes well with alcohol. Because of its popularity, there's a lot of mentaiko flavored things. There's mentaiko potato chips, mentaiko mayonnaise, mentaiko butter, mentaiko and chicken nuggets, and so on. Yes, Shirako, how would I put it? Basically, it's fish jizz. I know that sounds a bit scary and disgusting, but Japanese people love Shirako, and it's actually an expensive delicacy. This seminal fluid is either served raw on top of sushi or rice dishes, or it's sometimes boiled in a hot pot. The buttery, creamy texture with the slightly sea-like aftertaste is widely loved by Japanese people. I actually tried this by accident at work. all the other stuff in it. I didn't know what it was. I just assumed it was some kind of like innards of a fish. Everyone said it's really delicious and it's probably the best thing in the hot pot, so I should definitely try it. After I took a bite, I found it was quite buttery and very smooth. Only later did I learn I had a mouthful of semen in my mouth. And now knowing what it is, I still like it. It's really good. A controversial food, yes, but whale meat was actually quite popular in the post-war era in Japan because meat like chicken, pork, and beef were kind of expensive and hard to come by. Actually, many homes and school lunches included whale meat as part of their bento. However, recently, whale meat is not eaten that often. It's still available in some specialty shops and restaurants. You'll probably come across a shop or restaurant that serves or sells whale meat in areas that are more like traditional Japan, kind of like in Asakusa. Actually, when I went to Ueno in a place called Ameyoko, which is like a bazaar street kind of place, I was able to try whale jerky from a shop there. It had a very salty and chewy taste to it. I was also introduced to whale sashimi and whale meat in nabe in a hot pot as well at a special whale restaurant. You probably won't be seeing or eating much of whale meat in Japan. In my years in Japan, I think I've tried it only like twice. It might take a lot of guts to eat this food, which is perfect because that's what this is, cow and pig guts. So when I heard Japanese people eating hormone, I thought it was based on the English word hormones. But actually, hormone is a Japanese word that's derived from like Kansai dialect, that's where it began. And horu means to throw away. And mono is things, so throwing away things. But instead of throwing away all the internal organs, people decided to eat them. It's actually a very popular food in Japan. And there's two styles to eat it. The most popular is like the Osaka-based way, which is to eat it at yakiniku, which is grilling it. And you'll know you're eating hormone if you go to a yakiniku restaurant because the meat is very different. It's like a lot thinner and it's like tubular and more chewy. And the second popular way comes from the Kyushu or the south area of Japan. It's to eat it also in a hot pot called motsunabe. Motsunabe is like a hot, salty, boiling pot of hormone mixed with garlic and negi and other vegetables. And a lot of girls especially like hormone because it's said to have a lot of collagen, which is good for making your skin softer and younger looking. That being said, even though a lot of people in Japan, including my girlfriend Mayu, loves hormone, I just can't, pardon the pun, stomach it. This is a popular appetizer which is often served in izakayas along with alcohol. So my first week in Japan, I went out to an izakaya for my first time and the two people I went with ordered this and it looked like popcorn chicken, so I popped it in my mouth. When I put it in my mouth and I started chewing, I could feel the crunchiness of the bones and I spit it out because I thought someone had accidentally deep fried bones by accident. Then I learned it's actually supposed to be like that. It's supposed to be crunchy, it's deep fried, it's kind of gritty taste to it, and it's topped with like lemon juice. This is another dish that almost all Japanese people I've met love, but I just can't seem to take it. This is another food from Okinawa, and sea grapes are not actually grapes, but they're a kind of seaweed found in the water. But they do resemble bunches of little tiny grapes, and they're very good because when you bite on them, they burst into your mouth with this salty, fresh water. They're eaten raw and they're dipped in soy sauce, and they're a very popular, I guess, side dish or like an opening appetizer for an Okinawan meal. They're cheap, they're healthy, they're delicious, and they're perfect for vegetarians. Actually, when I went to Okinawa, I had umibodo every night I was there. You probably heard of this food like I did on an episode of The Simpsons.
Fugu, if it is cut improperly, it's...
Yes, it is poisonous, potentially fatal, but if sliced properly, it can be quite tasty.
Poison, tasty fish. Concentrate.
I want Fugu!
Beautiful language, isn't it, Mark?
For God's sake, don't eat another bite!
Oh, I couldn't possibly.
Mr. Simpson-san, I shall be blunt. We have reason to believe you have eaten poison.
You have 24 hours to live.
The dreaded puffer fish or fugu fish, known to contain poisonous toxin that can lead to paralyzation and even death, is one of the most expensive and dignified dishes in Japan. And though there's less than 6 deaths per year from eating fugu, and there's so many strict regulations on the serving of fugu, I was really scared that I would be one of those 6. So at an end of the year party, which is called a bonenkai, I was served a dish that contained fugu. I didn't know what it was and I ate it. I thought it was so delicious that I had a second bowl of it before somebody told me what it was. And then I panicked and I started feeling like I was getting paralyzed and my vision started getting foggy and I thought I was gonna die. But I was fine. So if you're paranoid like me about eating fugu, definitely make sure you eat it at a restaurant that's been open for a long time and is famous for fugu. You don't want to be the first customer at the grand opening of a new fugu restaurant. It's like a round barnacle sea creature looking thing with a lot of spikes. They're actually often called sea hedgehogs. So the edible part of the sea urchin is not the actual spike part, but it's the insides. It's a very savory food and in Japan it's very expensive. Uni is eaten straight raw, it's put on sushi, it's put on toast, or sometimes it's even put on pasta. And it's very, very rich, so you only eat it in small portions. So when I went to Korea, when I went to the Busan fish market, which is the world's second largest fish market, one of the fish market guys, he offered me a uni, he broke one open for me and offered it to me. If the fact that Japanese people love to eat fish semen and fish eggs didn't surprise you, maybe this will. So shirasu or whitebait are tiny immature fish that travel in schools and are soft and tender, meaning they can be fully consumed without removing bones. So one of the most popular ways to eat shirasu is to put a whole bunch of them on top of white rice and call it shirasudon. It can also be in salads, in ramen, and topping on pizza, and even in ice cream. I find them actually very tasty. They don't have a very fishy taste to it. They have a very light fish taste to it, and they're really crispy if you dry them, and I like them in salad. I never thought I would be tasting a food that tastes me back, but gyutan or cow tongue is definitely my top 5 foods in Japan. It's definitely my go-to meat when I go to a yakiniku restaurant. The thinly sliced cow tongue, slightly grilled and then dipped in lemon juice is so good. So besides eating it just straight out grilled, you can also put it in ramen or curry or stew. Sendai and Miyazaki are parts of Japan where gyutan is very famous and it's a lot thicker than other parts of Japan. So me and my friend Mamoru, we went to check out Sendai and we tried the famous gyutan of there. So insects are a very popular food in some parts of Asia like China or Thailand or Indonesia, but they're not that common in Japan. But there is one insect that Japanese people did eat. So actually Inago is very popular in Fukushima and Nagano and places like that during the plague when the locusts destroyed a lot of the crops. Needing food because of the lost crops, they decided why not just eat the problem. So they ate the locusts. Of course they're not commonly eaten now, but you will still find some izakayas and a lot of small towns that still serve Inago. So locusts are caught and they're kept in a bag for a day, so eventually they'll just shit themselves and be clear of all the feces. Then they're boiled in soya sauce and sugar. And then they're deep fried in oil to make them all crispy and sweet. I think the hardest part about eating Inago is the way it looks because they remain intact, the shape. I'm actually afraid of bugs and just looking at Inago really freaks me out. The first time I saw them, I was actually at izakaya with my friend Mamoru. Anyway, Mamoru ate those and he said they were really good. They tasted like shrimp. So I decided to try it and take a bite. And the crispy, sweet goodness was awesome. It's almost like potato chips. Once you eat one, you can't stop. So many foreigners hear the word takoyaki and it's translated into octopus balls, and a lot of foreigners think you're eating octopus testicles. However, balls are just the shape of the food. You're not actually eating the testicles. You're just eating a ball of dough with a piece of octopus inside. Takoyaki, which originated in Osaka, is probably one of the most famous foods to eat at a festival. Pieces of octopus are chopped up, adding green onion and ginger. They're mixed in a wheat batter and placed in a special waffle iron top type hot plate to create the shape of the balls. And then these balls are placed on a tray and they're topped with mayonnaise and takoyaki sauce. It's a really delicious food, but I have to warn you, it's very, very hot. So when you get one right off the bat, do not put the whole ball in your mouth and chew. The first time I ate takoyaki, that's what I did, and I burned the entire inside of my mouth. I was physically and mentally scarred for months. Round dough, deep fried dough that resemble donuts, and they're found in the bakery and they're usually next to a lot of sweet foods. But they're not sweet, they actually have curry inside. Actually, curry donuts for me are kind of like the go-to food when I'm in a rush and I don't have time to sit down and I'm on the go somewhere. I can just grab a curry donut and go, and it's very filling. And they're very convenient because they can be eaten at room temperature. They often are sold right off the rack in convenience stores and they're very cheap. There is no English word for monjayaki, but I guess the closest word you could use is runny batter. I'm not gonna lie, but to me it just looks like vomit on a grill. But despite that terrible description, Monjayaki is probably in my top 3 foods of all time. So popular in the Kanto region, Monjayaki is a pan-fried batter similar to okonomiyaki, but uses a lot more water, making it runny looking. All the ingredients are served in a bowl, and diners place all the ingredients on the flat table grill provided using metal spatulas, chop up all the ingredients, add the liquid mixture and water to the grill. The scrambled mess slowly starts hardening on the grill, and a small spatula is then used to scrape bits of the batter and eat them directly from the grill. It all sounds so strange and messy, but it's so good. What I like about it is the top is still kind of soft and tender, but the bottom is very like burnt and crispy. It's actually a very iconic Tokyo food, and not a lot of foreigners have heard of it. When I first saw these, I instantly thought of dried up dog poop. I was very hesitant to try it, even though people said it's very sweet and crunchy. And once I did try it, I was very impressed because it was actually very good. It tasted like a sweet Cheeto. And Corinto is just deep fried flour with brown sugar. The taste is sweet, but it's not super sweet. And I think it goes really well with things like green tea or coffee, which is why it's a popular treat or snack to be served during tea ceremony. You can get bags of these for really cheap at convenience stores, supermarkets, or traditional Japanese sweet shops. So it shouldn't surprise you that Japanese people like to eat pregnant fish called shishamo. The fish is small and fried or grilled whole and is eaten fully from head to tail. It's slightly crispy, but you can eat the entire fish with the eggs intact. You'll probably find it in every izakaya menu. It's a very popular dish all across Japan. Most people add some lemon juice, dip it with some mayonnaise, and eat the entire fish all the way from head to tail. So when I first tried it, I was still hesitant, so I would try to cut the head and the tail off and eat the middle section, but I realized the head and the tail were the best part. When they're grilled, because they're thinner, they end up becoming crispier and have that smoky taste to it, so it's really good. So there you go, that's the list of 20 of the weirdest or strangest foods that I've tried in Japan and my recommendation or non-recommendation on them. So if you do come to Japan, I definitely recommend to go beyond your comfort zone, try some of the more interesting or bizarre foods that Japan has to offer. So if you've been to Japan or eaten Japanese food, what is the weirdest Japanese food you've eaten? And what's a weird or strange food in your country? Let me know in the comment section below. Anyway, thanks for watching. Don't forget to thumbs up if you like this video and share. Also, don't forget to subscribe to my channel because my videos are awesome. OzzyAwesome. Take care and see you next time. Peace. Awesome. OzzyAwesome.
ピップルじゃない。